Fourth grade, music class. The teacher sees that I have Velcro shoes. She starts to point at me and say, "Why do you have Velcro shoes? You're just a baby." All the other kids start laughing. I start feeling the emotion. I start feeling that anger. And I say, I'll leave it to you to decide. I say, "Screw you." Next thing I know, I've been sent to the principal's office. I sit there with the principal and I describe, this is what happened. She called me out. She excluded me. Next thing I know, she had the teacher come to the principal's office. I was able to go back to class. That was my early advocacy moment. Freshman year of college, I take a really interesting class, a class on sports and society. I'm learning so much. I'm learning about all the social issues in sport, and also about society. I learn about racism. I learn about segregation and exclusion around race and gender, sexual orientation. In the class, in the book, there's not a mention of disability. For me, in my experience as an athlete, I felt it. I recognized that something was different, that there was that segregation for athletes with disabilities. The empty stadiums, the stigma, the labels, the not understanding what was happening when there wasn't the support, there wasn't the infrastructure, there wasn't the ability to be valued as an athlete. And for me, I knew that I wanted to try to make a difference. I knew that I wanted to fill that book with that chapter on ability. 2 years after college, in 2000, I was able to take part in a program to learn about the Olympic values, to learn about this concept. I had never heard it before as an athlete, but I learned about this term, Olympism. There are many components of Olympism, about how do you live your life on and off the field, how do you compete with dignity, and how do you compete with respect and fair play. But there was this important clause, this important component of Olympism that stuck with me. It just spoke to me in so many ways. Any form of discrimination with regard to a country or a person on grounds of race, religion, politics, gender, or otherwise is incompatible with belonging to the Olympic movement. This word, this phrase, or otherwise, spoke to me. I recognized that that was me. That included people with disabilities as well. People with disabilities could be a part of this framework. I recognized that there are Olympians. There are male and female Olympians. And I recognized that athletes with disabilities are Paralympians. That's a label that we have. That's a label that we are given. But to me, in my mind, the way that I identify in thinking from a human perspective is that I identify as an Olympian. The female athletes are not called Femalympians. We are all Olympians in this way. We are all reaching the pinnacle of our sport as athletes. We are athletes first. In 2003, I had the amazing opportunity for the first time to go to the United Nations to work on an international treaty on the rights of persons with disabilities. I was amazed. I was overwhelmed. I was inspired. When I entered the building the very first time and I was told where to go, which room we were in for the meetings, they told me at the front, they said, "This meeting is in the basement. You'll be proceeding to the basement." I was confused. I was caught off guard by the fact that they would have a disability rights meeting in the basement. It seemed quite contradictory from thinking about the ideas of disability rights, the idea of changing the paradigm from pity and charity to power and empowerment. The whole idea of the treaty was nothing about us without us. This is the idea. And so for me to come to this meeting and for it to be in the basement, I was quite concerned. So I came to my colleagues and I said, is this an important advocacy moment? Do we need to be calling up the troops to make sure that we're no longer in the basement? I asked around, and finally I got the answer. And they said, actually, all meetings are in the basement. So you're okay. Nothing about us without us is happening there. We are all included. We are all working together to make this happen, to make the world a community so that we can see valuing people and valuing inclusion as a priority. I guess for me, my final defining moment, it really comes to how do you engage? How do you find a way to make inclusion happen? How do you make daily inclusion, everyday inclusion? How do you make inclusive Olympism? To me, that aha moment was a really important realization. I realized that that sense of exclusion, that sense of invisibility, it was really about how do you interact? How do you create a relationship? How do you actually move from that sense of invisibility or exclusion in an interaction where you're not making eye contact, where you're not engaging with every person as a human? How do you then make that transition from that exclusion feeling to a sense of valuing and experiencing full inclusion? To me, that inclusion process, you go from a sense of invisibility in an excluded way to a sense of being so fully included. You're so fully integrated. You're so much a part of it, and you're there, and it's very powerful. That's the power of sport, because you can be there. You can be a part of the same community as everyone else. And that can happen in a way where you're also invisible. But you're so invisible because you're so included. Your identity, everything you stand for, is included. But it's so seamless. It's so much a part of the community that it works. One of the great ideas and one of the great things that I think is really important to think about is sports like blind soccer, wheelchair basketball, sitting volleyball. Those sports can be for everybody. Whether you have a disability or not, that can be the future of sport, where people with and without disabilities are actually engaging together. You can have sports that people with disabilities play in a sense of playing together, but you can also have events and competitions where people with and without disabilities are in the sports. To me, that you can have an Olympics for people with disabilities, but you can also have an ability Olympics for people with and without disabilities. On the final point that I would like to make is really about a pair of glasses. I would like you to think about how you engage on an everyday basis with every single person, whether it's your best friend, your spouse, your boss, your community leaders. How do you have that interaction? What pair of glasses are you wearing? Are you wearing a pair of glasses of inclusion and opportunity, where you see difference as an incredible innovation? Or you have a pair of glasses that excludes? Do you have a pair of glasses where you say, we don't want to be a part of this, or we don't think that community should be a part of this experience? To me, I would urge you all, and urge everyone you know, to think about the glasses that you wear. To think about every interaction. It's very powerful. It means a lot to me. It means, how do we make this happen in every setting, in every moment, that people feel included and valued? Thank you so much.